Hey, you all. Thank you for coming by Tori Magoo 44. Talking to you. I just got back from the beach. I was with one of my very, very dear friends and Ladybird and Mr. Bird and their family. I got a new hat. I hope you like my hat. I got out at the beach. We had so much fun. I have to tell you, going to the beach is an excellent thing if you live in Los Angeles. We went to Malibu. We went through Topanga Canyon to Malibu, came down, went to Santa Monica Beach, out on the pier, went to Venice Beach. Then from Venice Beach, I think Lady Bird and I had happy hour. It was happy hour, so we had some food and a good time. They cruised around Venice a little bit more. And then we went through Westwood, so I showed them UCLA. Then we took Sunset all the way back in. We went all the way over to the complex to show where some people had worked and where, it was completely dead. I mean, we didn't even get out of the car. It was completely dead, nobody on the street. They didn't even have the security out. It was actually very funny. And so we drove around there, and then we went back, went by the HGB, dead. Um, a couple of the people didn't know, that what had happened with the big sign, the big, long, tall sign. They didn't know what had happened where we got it shut down. So that was pretty cool. So we went over that. And then Ladybird, I'd never told her my story about me and Jesse when I first came back from Lisa McPherson Trust. So I thought I'd tell you guys because it's a really good story. I'll keep it short. But here's what happened. Basically, I flew to Clearwater in 2000, July of 2000. Stacy said, just come on here and rest for a while. So I'm in Clearwater. Now it's time for me to come home. And they were really worried Osa was going to be after me, catch me, whatever. So Bob Minton said, look, I want Jesse to escort you home. So Jesse and I come across the country. That's a whole nother funny video sometime I've got to tell you, or Jesse's got to tell you, or we got to tell you together. Sometimes, Jesse, you come out and we'll tell him because it's hysterical. I mean, very, very funny. But Jesse has to tell part of it. But anyway, we had talked to these families, and they were trying to get their kids out of the Church of Scientology. And so we were like, okay, we'll meet you at the Burbank Hilton. Go on a vacation, get your kid. Come. They were going to come from San Diego on up. We were going to meet them at the Burbank Hilton, right? Okay, so we get to the Burbank Hilton. Stacy had said, call the police, call security. And I was newly out, like a couple of weeks, a month, something like that at the most. And I said, they don't do stuff like that, Stacy. And she said, look, I used to run these programs with Jesse. We know what we're talking about. Call the cops, call security. So I do. We warn them that we're trying to help get somebody out of a cult, right? Okay, so now we get this phone call from the parents, freaked out. They're out, and I've already told this story before, so if you've heard it, just there you go. You've already heard it. But there's a lot of people that probably haven't heard it, just like Ladybird hadn't heard it. So I'm telling it for the people that hadn't heard it because it's a good story. So we get this call. We're up in the room waiting for them, and we get this call. The father's freaked out. He goes, I'm out in the parking lot. The private investigators are here. OSA's here. They won't let us come in. It's just like a nightmare, right? And so I say, Jesse, we got to go down there. And he goes, we can't. They've got to come up here. And I said, you've been out too long, Jesse. That it's not going to go down that way. We got to go there. So he goes, all right, you go there. So I go down into the lobby. And first of all, Joel Phillips, who now says he runs Religious Freedom Watch, was there. He used to be my junior when I was running this executive Scientology Parishioners League, right? So he's there, and he's like white as a sheet. And he comes up to me, and he's like, how could you do something like this? And I'm like, do something like what? And he's like, sleep deprivation, food deprivation, which obviously Osa had told them we were going to do, which we were not in any way, shape, or form. And I'm like, Joel, I don't know what you're thinking about, but it isn't going down that way. So long story short, we're there for 2 hours with them. The kid's got his head in his hands. His sister's crying. The parents are crying. It's just a nightmare. Osa's got me blocked off saying I'm a heroin addict and a drug dealer and all this other shit that's just completely false and lying. And I'm like, bullshit. So they finally lie and say the kid is their kid because it's not working. So they finally tell them that that's their kid and we're stopping them, right? Which is completely horseshit. So at this point, Jesse calls security and the police. Excuse me. So now, at that same time, Graham Berry had showed up with one of my friends. And I hadn't seen these people. I didn't know Graham, but I hadn't seen my other girlfriend in a really long time. So I go out in the back parking lot of the hotel. And they're out there and we hug. Everything's cool. It's just like, this is mind blowing to me. You can imagine. I've been out like 2 weeks or a month, something like that. And it's just like incredible that Osa would do all this weird shit. I was just like, I can't believe you're doing this, right? It's kind of mind blowing to me, right? And now I come back in the lobby. It's completely empty. There's nobody there. And I'm like, and Bob had given me a cell phone and he says, use it, if you need it. So I pick up the cell phone and I go, Jesse, where are you? And he goes, come on outside. You're not going to believe it. And I walk on the Burbank Hilton and here's 5 cop cars on this side, a helicopter hovering over the door. I'm not kidding. And all the private investigators, like the cars are actually over here, 5 cars. The private investigators are all held over on this side. Some of them handcuffed, or they had them all like locked in a thing, right? And the cops said, look, we know these guys, we know the drill. So we're going to give the parents 15 minutes to get away from here. And we say to them, look, if the kid changes his mind, he wants to talk to us, give us a call. Here, you got our cell phone number, right? So they leave, they burn out. And Jesse and I, whatever, he stays in the hotel and I come back to my house. So now we get together the next day and the parents called and said he wants to talk to you. But don't be followed. We're in this secret hotel. Don't be followed. Well, Jesse and I know how to get around that kind of thing. So we're driving on the highway and making sure nobody's following us, this and that. We get into the hotel and we get him some food to make sure that he's got something to eat. And we haven't even said a word. We've just kind of like chatted about, the family and this and that. Nothing about Scientology at all, right? And all of a sudden, we hear this big pounding on the door, and I open the door, and here's this tall policeman, right? And I said, yes. And he goes, we've got an anonymous report that you're harming a young man in here, and we need to talk to him. And I'm like, bingo, man, perfect. Because this is perfect. You couldn't write a script better than this. I mean, it was just so perfect. So I said, fine. So the kid goes out in the hall. He goes, and we need to see the father, too. So the father goes out in the hall. They talk to him. They say, they're not hurting us. We're fine. We want to talk to him. So they say, okay. They leave. The kid comes back in, and I say, look, I'm going to tell you something. What you've seen in the last 24 hours, most Scientologists, and if you're lurking, this is to you, do not know this shit goes down. I didn't know this shit went down until it happened to me. I'm learning it right now. It's like, I can't believe what's happened in the last 24 hours. It was just unbelievable, right? And I said, this is why Jesse and I are out. And everybody else who's out. This kind of shit is why we're out. We're not out because of the tech or, maybe some people are now, but I'm just saying right then, really the main key thing is this abusive shit that they do. But they hide it from most of the public. So most people don't know it goes down. But it does go down. And you need to look on the internet because there's plenty of videos. And from me, Xenu TV, Xenu.net, the Why We Protest, there's stuff all around the internet of facts and information about what's happened. You can watch pickets with them. You can see things. Go see Magoo dancing in Boston and watch them and see what they look like. Because that's me 1 or 2 weeks out. And that's them. That's who they are. And it's pretty amazing to see. So anyway, that's my little story that I told Ladybird today. We had a wonderful time. I loved seeing them. I loved your family. It was just a fabulous time. And I love all of you for coming to my YouTube sites. And I hope you have an excellent, excellent week. So there you go. And I hope you like my new hat. There you are. All right. So peace out. You take care and bye-bye.